what's up, YouTube? I'm just kidding. Hey, let me fix this. Is better? Hey, YouTube, it's me, your girl, Brianca Jay, and I'm back with a brand new video. This is Book Talk, and I want you to treat this page like you would treat, you know, a restaurant. So if you enjoy me, you can tip me 3 ways. You can subscribe, love those. You can comment, and you can press like. All of those help me to get boosted on the algorithm and eventually make this like a source of income so that it can be easier to get here to you guys regularly, because you know you gotta go to the money sometimes. You don't always get to do your pleasures, but this is my pleasure, and I've been so stressed, and so I thought, let me come talk to my YouTube family. But I know y'all love me when I bring you value. So I'm not only here to run my mouth like a loser. I'm going to talk to you guys about Kate Chopin's Awakening, one of the first modernist, feminist literary pieces from America. It's awesome. I loved it. But before we get into that video, I want to tell you two things, just two. I have a book out. It's available. So if you want to go to my website, it's at www.briancajay.com. It is a children's book. You can check that out. Also, I have merch. So this hoodie says, if the vision was impossible, you never would have received it. But it's also some tons of other goodies, hoodies, sweatshirts, and tees that you may enjoy. And that is also on my website at www.briancajay.com. All that information is in the description box below. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, because I know you got shit to do. So, I was thinking about The Awakening today. Kate Chopin's The Awakening. And I'll be honest, I pulled up my notes from class, so I didn't like recently read the work. I pulled up my notes from class and pulled up the paper I submitted. But then, just out of curiosity, I wanted to look more at the text and at the summary to kind of jog my memory. And so when I was reading it, I was thinking like, wow, this is a really deep text, because it goes into like a lot of the issues of womanhood that we don't talk about. Like, she goes through this like sense of purposelessness, where she doesn't really know where her value is or how to find herself. And I think she begins her life really conforming to these notions, these societal expectations of what a woman is. It's, you know, what a wife is. And as she grows and she's introduced to more people, she starts seeing how some people don't. They just go for what they want to do. And she kind of envies that level of freedom. And we see her in her exploration for freedom throughout the work. And I think it's really interesting how she tries to pursue freedom, but how her freedom acts as the death in itself. So her awakening is her death, if I can say so. What do they call the Ouroboros? The snail that eats the cake. Everything is as above, so below, as within, so without. All returns to one. And so we kind of see that in this work. So let's see. The revival element of the sea is what I chose to write about when I was in class, and it's still a really good paper, honestly. But it's about the awakening in the novel, exploring the psychological issues that are introduced when women are subjected to a limited or a traditional existence. So we have this one woman who is conforming to this traditional idea of what femininity is, and set in the 1800s Victorian era. The novel is a work of great controversy. It was unheard of for a woman to completely abandon her family, to separate herself from her husband, and to abandon her social norms, to eventually commit suicide by drowning herself in the sea. That's unheard of, right? However, if the reader looks at the sea as a symbol for Edna's awakening and watches its evolution throughout the story, it does kind of show you a fitting ending, right? What is what is, we all want to go towards freedom. Kind of like we come from a white light and then we return to a white light, right? Like, same situation here. So when the reader meets Edna, she is isolated and misunderstood by the Creole society. So she moves there with her husband, and she's surrounded by these Creole people. And these people are more free, and they speak openly about very taboo topics. They're very open about things that she had always considered to be very private. So these people kind of push her out of a level of comfort that she had begun to understand. Even when she's visiting the beach, Edna realizes that everyone around her knows how to swim. She has no idea how to do this, and so this further identifies Edna's lack of freedom. She just doesn't know how to connect with the ocean overall. For Edna, this is unexplored territory. Early in the novel, when Edna returns from the sea, she's burnt beyond all recognition in chapter 1. And this is how Chopin is enforcing the idea of Edna's inability to fit into society. She's not even aware how to properly shield herself from the elements of nature. So they're showing us just how much of a fish out of water she is. By chapter 6, there's a turn in Edna awakening, marked through her relationship with the sea. The walk to the beach was no inconsiderable one, it says, consisting as it did as a long sandy path. So though Edna is referring to the sea, it also is a fitting description of the journey to self-discovery. Though the journey is difficult, she feels that the sea is calling out to her. It says the voice of the sea speaks to the soul. The touch of the sea is sensuous, enfolding the body in its soft, close embrace. So Edna is drawn to the sea as she is to her own self-discovery. This idea is reinforced in the way that Edna personifies the ocean in chapter 6, and also speaks about her life being before being introduced to this powerful force. It says, but the beginning of things, of a world especially, is necessarily vague, tangled, chaotic, and exceedingly disturbing. How few of us ever emerge from such beginning. How many souls perish in its tumult. And then so it says, then she begins to identify the feeling that the ocean ignites in her. The voice of the sea is seductive, never ceasing, whispering, clamoring, murmuring, inviting the soul to wander for a spell in abyss of solitude, to lose itself in mazes of inward contemplation. This line again doubles as a reference to how Edna feels about her self-discovery, right? It is both inescapable and impossible to ignore. She was first ignorant of it and only existed, but when introduced to the sea and its infinite possibilities, it awakened an unknown sense in her. Once this consciousness is awakened, she is unable to ignore it. Edna has begun to evolve and exercise her newfound enlightenment at home, as well as in the ocean. But this is not enough for her. Edna craves more. She wants to explore deeper depths of the ocean as a way to further explore the deeper compounds of her inner being. To lose herself in mazes of inward contemplation. Edna is only at peace when she is near the water. It is the only place she has been able to find happiness in her life thus far. Ultimately, Edna drowns herself in the very water she discovers herself in, possibly because freedom was a responsibility she was unable to handle, or maybe she wanted to have absolute control over her own destiny, even her death. Either way, her awakening of self is a feeling that many can relate to, whether as a cautionary tale or as a novel of the human inner psyche. So that is the awakening. I did this in less than 10 minutes. Yeah, but that's the awakening, and I really enjoyed this book. I remember going through it in class, and I remember so many of my peers thinking that this woman was so selfish and so evil, but I remember being really able to relate to her, that feeling of longing, that feeling of needing, that countless itch at your neck that you just can't reach. I understood Edna a lot, and I think that maybe she was a bit irresponsible in the way she went about pursuing her life, maybe even truly selfish to a degree, but I think that we all must have to We have to explore the things that call to us. That's just me though. You tell me what you think about the book. You tell me how you felt about Edna as a character. And tell me what you think about the sea as a symbol of freedom and so much more. Remember, please comment, like, and subscribe. And check out my description box for more interesting details and other places to find me. It's your girl, your favorite, your host. I love to be here with you, Brianca Jay. And I'll catch you next time.